She was my wife, you Wookiee sack of
You listen to me. You're either on my side
or you're on his.
Harrison Ford, the name alone is iconic. For 50 years, he's been our favorite gruff, charming hero Han Solo, Indiana Jones, a true cinematic legend. We know the wry smile, the no-nonsense attitude, and the reluctant hero who always saves the day. He's one of the last true movie stars, a craftsman from a time when actions spoke louder than words. But behind that quiet confidence lies a fiercely private man, famous for his intolerance of reluctant superstar. Many of his co-stars saw a perfectionist who didn't suffer fools gladly. His dedication is absolute, his process is intense, and his patience for anything that gets in the way of the final film is practically zero. This commitment to the craft has sparked some of Hollywood's most whispered about on-set conflicts. Now, hate is a strong word, and Ford is rarely that blunt in public, but the stories paint a clear picture of relationships that were, at best, frosty. Based on interviews and behind-the-scenes reports, we're pulling back the curtain to reveal the 7 actors Harrison Ford reportedly clashed with the most people. These are the stories of creative battles, silent treatments, and public feuds that defined some of his biggest films. Coming in at number 7 is a name that might surprise you. Ron Howard, one of Hollywood's most respected and well-liked directors. But long before he was winning Oscars, he was a young actor on the set of the 1973 classic American Graffiti. It was a breakout film for most of its young cast, including a then-unknown Harrison Ford. And it's where his legendary career, first, started gaining traction. But the vibe on set wasn't always as carefree as the movie. Ford, playing the cocky drag racer, Bob Falfa, was reportedly all business's stark contrast to some of the other actors. Ron Howard, who played the clean-cut Steve Bollender, has talked about Ford's intimidating presence on set. While he's never called it a feud, he's made it clear that Ford was a focused and intense figure. Some reports have tried to frame this as Ford bullying a younger Howard, but let's put it in context. Ford was a struggling carpenter trying to support his family. He wasn't there to make friends, he was there to work. His no-nonsense approach could easily come off as abrasive. It wasn't a drawn-out battle, but it was an early glimpse of the uncompromising professional who would become a Hollywood legend. Fast forward to the early 2000s. Harrison Ford is a Hollywood titan. Josh Hartnett is the new hotshot on the block. They get cast as buddy cops in the 2003 action comedy Hollywood Homicide. It seemed like a perfect pairing, right? Well, in a classic case of life imitating art, the on-set relationship between Ford and Hartnett was reportedly just as mismatched. Reports from the set claimed the two barely spoke between takes. The press ate it up, with rumors flying that Ford called Hartnett a punk, while Hartnett shot back, calling Ford an old fart. Their bickering during the promotional tour only added more fuel to the fire. For years, this story was the go-to example of Ford's infamous grumpiness. But time has offered a little more perspective. Decades later, Josh Hartnett set the record straight, saying the feud was misinterpreted. He explained, "Drama sold newspapers. But we actually got along really well." Hartnett admitted they had creative disagreements, but he chalked up the on-air tension to Ford's gruff style of ribbing. So, while it might not have been hate, it was a classic clash of an old-school veteran and a new generation star. In 1997, The Devil's Own brought together two of the biggest movie stars on the planet, Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt. On paper, it was a dream team. The film, about an IRA terrorist, Pitt hiding out with an unsuspecting cop, Ford, was set up to be a brilliant thriller. The reality, a chaotic production that led to one of the most well-documented creative battles of Ford's career. The problem wasn't personal, it was about the story. Pitt was attached to an early script, but when Ford came on board, he felt his character was just a one-dimensional good guy. Ford wanted to add layers, but there was one huge problem. They started shooting without a script they both agreed on. Ford later explained, "I understand why he wanted to stay with his point of view, and I wanted to stay with my point of view. The tension was so bad that Pitt called it the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking I've ever seen." Ford, ever the pragmatist focused on a clear narrative, clashed with Pitt's desire for a darker character study. Despite calling Pitt a wonderful actor and a really decent guy, Ford admitted the process was incredibly tough. It's a testament to his iron-willed approach. If the script isn't right, nothing is. This one isn't about a single actor, but a long, complicated relationship with an entire universe and the man who created it, George Lucas and Star Wars. It seems strange, right? The franchise made him a global superstar. But for Ford, Han Solo and the galaxy far, far away have always been a source of creative frustration. The tension started almost immediately. Ford had little faith in Star Wars, famously telling George Lucas, "George, you can type this *T, but you sure can't say it." His biggest issue was with Han Solo. While audiences fell in love with the charming rogue, Ford found him shallow. In his words, Han Solo was dumb as a stump and not so interesting. This led to one of the most legendary stories in Star Wars lore. Ford begged George Lucas to kill Han Solo in Return of the Jedi. He argued it would give the film emotional weight. Lucas refused, reportedly because he was worried about toy sales. This creative friction defined their professional relationship. While they were friends, Ford never shied away from challenging Lucas's vision. For decades, Ford seemed to carry Han Solo like a burden. It's the ultimate Harrison Ford conflict, a battle not just with a person but with his own indelible legacy. The making of the 1982 sci-fi masterpiece Blade Runner was notoriously difficult. But at the heart of the on-set turmoil was an icy tension between its two stars, Harrison Ford and Sean Young. Their clash is probably the most infamous of Ford's career, a relationship so cold it arguably shaped the final film. Ford played the weary Rick Deckard, and Young played Rachel, the replicant he falls for. On screen, their romance is the emotional core of the film. Behind the scenes, there was nothing. According to the cast and crew, they could not stand each other. Ford was a reserved, meticulous professional. Young was a younger, less experienced actress who some found unpredictable. The result was a complete breakdown in communication. Crew members even nicknamed their big love scene the hate scene. Young has said that Ford was a cold fish who wouldn't speak to her. Ford, in his typical fashion, has stayed mostly quiet, but his displeasure was obvious to everyone. Ironically, many now believe this real-life animosity actually helped the film. The awkward, strained quality of Deckard and Rachel's relationship feels unsettlingly real, perfectly fitting the film's dystopian mood. This entry is unique because it's not about an on-set clash, but a persistent Hollywood rumor about a principled stand. The actor is Mel Gibson, and the story goes that Harrison Ford made it clear he would not work with him due to his controversial public behavior. The potential conflict came to a head with The Expendables 3. Both Ford and Gibson are in the movie, but they share no scenes. Coincidence? Maybe, but reports have long suggested that Ford's involvement was contingent on not having to work directly with Gibson. The catch is, this has never been officially confirmed by Ford. In the years prior, Mel Gibson had become a deeply controversial figure. For an actor like Ford, whose entire career is built on quiet professionalism, Gibson's public implosion was the opposite of everything he stood for. Another story claims Ford turned down the lead in the 2000 film The Patriot, a role that went to Gibson, saying he felt the script boiled the entire war down to one man's revenge mission. While he cited creative reasons, his later rumored reluctance to work with Gibson adds another layer. It's a silent but powerful statement if it's just a Hollywood legend. And taking the top spot is a feud that's perhaps the most public, most venomous, and also the most one-sided of Harrison Ford's career. The source of the conflict, the iconic role of CIA analyst Jack Ryan. In 1990, Alec Baldwin originated the role in the hit film The Hunt for Red October. He was set to lead a franchise. But when it came time for the sequel, Patriot Games, Harrison Ford had the part. How did that happen? Well, it depends on who you ask. Baldwin has claimed for years the role was stolen from him. In his memoir, he accused a studio executive of negotiating with Ford behind his back. According to Baldwin, when the original director asked Ford if he knew Baldwin was still in the running, Ford's alleged reply was a blunt, "F him." Whether that's true or not, it became the cornerstone of Baldwin's grudge. He even took personal shots in his book, describing Ford as a little man, short, scrawny, and wiry. Fun fact, public records list Ford as an inch taller than Baldwin. And what has Harrison Ford said about all this? Absolutely nothing. His silence is a stark contrast to Baldwin's decades-long public campaign. This feud earns the top spot not because of mutual hatred, but because of the sheer duration and bitterness of the conflict, carried almost entirely by one man against an immovable Hollywood legend. So, there you have it, 7 of the most intense conflicts in Harrison Ford's legendary career. From creative clashes and icy silences to one-sided feuds, these stories paint a picture of a man fiercely committed to his craft. It's clear that for Ford, the work comes first. His legendary grumpiness seems to come not from malice, but from an unwavering, old-school professionalism. He's a craftsman in a world of celebrities. These conflicts are really just footnotes in a career filled with iconic roles. His legacy isn't defined by who he fought with, but by the timeless characters he brought to life. His intolerance for anything less than the best is precisely what makes him the legend he is. What do you think? Were you shocked by any of these stories? Does this change how you see Harrison Ford? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this look behind the Hollywood curtain, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.